Now we've just won a tender, so I want to make this video to share 3 important things you need to be doing and looking out for if you want your tender to win. Not every tender is ideal for your business. Market engagement events help you to influence the council. Supported accommodation is one of the most in-demand services across the country, especially in relation to public sector. So if you're a provider of these services, one of the most important things you need to do right now is understand how to win tenders. Now we've just won a tender, so I want to make this video to share 3 important things you need to be doing and looking out for if you want your tender to win. Before I get into the key points, a bit of background about the tender here and also the client. Bear in mind that this was a client that had already been delivering these services. So they'd been delivering supported accommodation services in the past, had experience doing so had the resources, the staffing, etc. Albeit the services they'd been previously delivering had been with other boroughs and other councils. So this tender that came out with London Borough of Ealing presented 2 key opportunities. Number 1, an opportunity for this client to diversify their risk, because as an agency provider, as a supported accommodation provider, you never want to just be stuck in one borough with one council. That is high risk. So you should always be looking for opportunities to de-risk yourself by providing to other boroughs and other councils the same level of service, the same standard, the same resources, provided you can maintain those. Secondly, apart from just simply de-risking, an opportunity to scale. Simply increase in revenue, find more opportunities, get more packages, etc. So this was extremely important to win. Now, 3 things stood out in this win. Whilst you lose tenders, you can get a lot of feedback, a lot of training and learnings from losses, but you can also get just as much from the wins, so you understand exactly what was important in these wins. So I'm going to share these 3. Now, disclaimer, before any tender, you must always check the requirements first. So this is, again, just a foundation, basic level thing you must always do first. So these 3 things I'm going to mention is beyond that. So number 1, policies. Typically, when it comes to policies, they're becoming more and more vital. Now, it's always been vital, but especially in tenders, normally you can win the tender and then afterwards send your policy. But that's changing. Now you need to upload your policies typically at the same time. It's very common now. So what a lot of providers may do, I've seen this happen, but probably a lot of more will be doing this, is uploading their general policies. When I say general policies, you might be uploading policies for care for your support tender. You might be uploading your policies for children for a tender that's about adults. You might be uploading policies for CQC for a tender that's for Ofsted. So policies always have to be aligned with not just the regulatory requirements, not just the user group, the age group, not just the council, not just the services, but it also has to align with the specifications on that tender. Because everyone's requirements are different. When I say everyone, the tenders, the councils, they all have particular requirements. Yes, there's a baseline regulatory requirements, but you need to make sure the policies address what exactly the needs are, the services are needed, the specifications on that tender. So we've seen many tenders fail simply because the policies do not match. Literally, there's a pass and fail for that alone. But in this tender, because there was a requirement to upload your policies, we had to take a step back and review the policies that the client had sent before you bid. Because nowadays, policies can even be created by AI. There's ChatGPT, there are different prompts. Irrespective of this, you need to make sure it meets the specification. So that's number 1, because that will literally fail your tender if you do not do this one simple thing that might look like just a minor thing. But again, it's extremely major because it's a pass and fail. The second thing that you have to make sure you thoroughly check for is the accommodation readiness. Now, by accommodation readiness, this simply means that you need to review what requirements you need to show or evidence or provide to demonstrate that your business and your agency is ready to deliver the services. With any service that requires, you to provide a service in a physical building. So that's day center, residential care, supported living, supported accommodation, of course. The list goes on. Some tenders will need you to demonstrate that you're ready to deliver the services at the point of tendering. So there's various information you might need to provide. If you're not ready to provide that information and you bid for that tender, you'll either lose marks, lose a lot of points, or simply fail. Again, that particular point or that particular category or part of the tender, which will cancel you out for the whole bid. But some tenders will allow you time, so they might stipulate that you should be ready from 6 months, within 6 months of the start of the contract or whatever the case is. But you need to understand what that timeline is. If it's now and you need to provide certain information, be ready to provide that information and make sure you provide the right information. So in this tender, we had to not only provide the address, as well as the address, you had to demonstrate the address was suitable for the provision of that service. So again, based on the suitability, conduct a thorough check on what the council or that tender standard is. As well as that is other certifications such as your gas safety that had to be provided, HMO license, etc., etc. Now, if you're lucky, they might give you some time after you bid in the correspondence. If you're not, make sure you're always ready with these information before you bid for certain tenders. The third and final points that you need to make sure you review is the pricing schedule. Now, a pricing schedule is essentially a document, typically in the form of a spreadsheet, that the council will require providers to complete. Now, the purpose of this is so that the providers of supported accommodation, in this case, can demonstrate their expenses of delivering these services required. Because you need to demonstrate two things. Number one, your affordability. So to make sure that you can actually afford to run the services that the council needs from you. And number two, to establish the rates that you're going to be charging the council. Because typically, you will also, in that bid, submit what your rates are. So how much you're going to charge on an hourly basis to provide the support for those individuals in question. So it allows the council to understand if they can afford your services, but also allows them to understand if you can afford your services. And on the other side of the coin, you need to also understand if you can afford to provide these services yourself. So there's benefits across the board. But why is this very important? Like I said, from the council's perspective, if you demonstrate that you cannot afford to run these services, it's going to be a fail. On the other side of the coin, if your pricing is too low, they can also fail you because, again, your rate is too low. Potentially, even if it's too high, you can also fail because your rate's too high. Although you should also bear in mind that the price you give to the council is also scored for the most part. The weighting of that scoring may be 20%, 30%, or even 40%, but it's going to add or subtract from the scoring of your entire tender as well. So it's a very important part of the tender. So to summarize now, first thing, policies. Ensure that if that tender needs policies, your policies are aligned and tailored to the specifications. Number two, the accommodation. If accommodation is required and you need to demonstrate that it's ready now, make sure you understand all the documents that are needed and submit that along with your bid. And number three, pricing schedule. Make sure that you understand the expenses and you can demonstrate affordability to the specification and the requirements that the government needs. And you should be good to go. If this video was valuable, leave a like. If you challenge anything I said, or maybe you've got some questions or different experience, leave a comment. I'll be happy to address that in the comments as well. Or if you need anything else about tenders or supported living or any other services, again, leave a comment and I'll address how to win these tenders or key points to look out for in tenders for other services.